Alright, today I'm going to review Terror in the Streets by Kelvin Green. The publisher, James Rogge IV, requested a adventure with these particular initials so that he could have a giggle every time he saw it on the spreadsheet. But this is an adventure that takes place in Paris in 1630. So we have a nice map of Paris here, which you can show to the players. However, this map is not part of the PDF, so I was unable to show this to the players. So here's the table of contents. Okay, this talks a little bit about Paris in 1630. What's going on in here. And it's basically a murder mystery. There's a serial killer killing children, and the players get recruited to hunt him down. Here's Cardinal Richelieu, which you may run into since this is Paris in 1630. And there was a major political event called the Days of the Dupes, which is going on in the background while you're playing. The Huguenots were a Protestant Calvinist group that was in Paris at the time. And so people who don't like the Huguenots or people who are the Huguenots is part of the political battles that are going on at the time. Okay, and so here's a bit about Paris in 1630. And how do you get around? The streets are full of human and horse poop. So you're going to take a carriage if you possibly can afford it. Okay, there's a referee map which shows some locations that are not on the player's map. And here's key to everything. Okay, so there's a thing called the unrest die. It starts off at 3. And if certain events happen, it goes up. And if it goes up, then there are negative effects to it going up above 3. With 6 being martial law, mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together, and that kind of stuff. So every time the players try to go somewhere, you roll an encounter and add the result of the unrest die to it. You roll a d20, and so it can be as high as d26, depending on how calm the city is. Here's a bit about taxi companies. You want to take a taxi if you can. And here's a timeline of events that go on. So, this guy will hire the characters to solve the murders. A serial killer's killing children, and he even left a letter. And so there are events that happen. The book is laid out so that the events are pretty much in the order that you need to use them, but these things here, you may have noticed I put tabs in here. I needed these because I kept having to go back to the unrest die, the encounter, and the timeline page. I had to keep going back to those, so I need to be able to find those quickly in the midst of play. But there's a series of events that happens, and the book is laid out so those events happen in order. You know, the victims, a little bit about each one. There's a wizard in town who thinks it's vampires. And we got a little thing of his house. Except if the unrest die gets too high, the mob comes and burns his house down. And there's even a new spell called Unveil the Presence of the Dread Vampire. And the thing about this spell is that if you miscast a spell, one of the things that might happen is it might call up a vampire. So, and the vampire's not happy about having been called up. So, a series of events, and then another letter comes, more events happen. If he gets away with it, there's a goodbye letter from the killer. There's more about some of the different things that go on. Here's a proper thieves guild for Paris, which has to do with some of the NPCs you might meet. And here's a sample of a carriage company's place, because part of your investigation might lead you to go to the carriage company. And depending on how nosy your players are, they might explore the entire building. Okay. Skip past the spoilery stuff. There is this guy, a possible English spy who hires you to break into the Bastille, the Grand Chalet. So we get the floor plan for it. And, you know, this is 1630 Paris. What would 1630 Paris be without the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan? And so they're laid out as NPCs here, or as I did when I ran it, I had the players play the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan, and they thought that was fun. There's some random French names, some information on Cardinal Richelieu's house, in case the players want to break into his house. And there's an appendix with some of the NPCs. And so a lot of this adventure is going to take place in Paris. And after looking at, I'm playing online. So in order to provide a city street, I looked at various city street tiles, and I had the idea of using this picture as the background for all their adventures on the city streets. But I would complain this half of the picture is not included in the PDF, only this half. So it would have made a better background if I could have gotten the whole picture in my background there. But overall, this is a really fun adventure. My players enjoyed it tremendously. Highly recommend it. But there's not much experience to be had in this, and there's not much treasure. That's by design, and there's almost no magic at all. It's extreme low magic adventure.